So as I said, we are looking at correlation and covariance. So covariance and correlation measures how two random variables are related. How two variables are related. So when you take, for example, the amusement stock or investment A and investment B, given these two investments, what is the relationship between these two investments? We are talking about either the correlation or the covariance. So with the question, determine whether the returns on these two stocks move together or not. The very first thing that should come in mind is either correlation or covariance. Correlation or covariance. And once you get your correlation and covariance, you should be able to explain. You should be able to what? Explain. Okay, so let's continue. They said, in case of two securities, they measure the degree of independence of these two assets. A correlation coefficient measures, so a correlation coefficient between investment 1 and 2, this one here, that's what it means. Correlation coefficient between investment 1 and 2 measures the strength of the relationship or the dependence between these two variables. So you know we have strong correlation and then we have what? Weak correlation. So whether the relationship between these two people is strong or is weak, that is what the correlation will tell you. And then the covariance tells you the movements. Okay, whether if stock A is going up, whether stock B is going down in that order. Are you getting it? So the covariance tells you the movement. Okay, so the degree to which the returns of two stocks co-move is measured by correlation coefficient. Are you getting it? Now, how do we then calculate covariance? And you already know how to calculate covariance, so it shouldn't be a hassle for you. We said how to calculate covariance. We learned it here, this illustration. Covariance, good. The standard deviation of A multiplied by the standard deviation of B multiplied by what? The correlation coefficient between A and B. You should be able to know how to solve for the what? Covariance. So that is basically what we are coming to look at over here. So covariance is equal to what? The probability. I know that the probability of A, this formula here, this particular one here. Let's go back there and see what they are trying to talk about. So if you are saying that correlation covariance is equal to the standard deviation of A minus multiplied by the standard deviation of B multiplied by the correlation coefficient, then what are we trying to say? When we came here to find the standard deviation of this particular illustration, what did we do? We said the probability minus the expected return, the probability multiplied by the expected return minus the required return gives us the variance. And when we squared this one, we'll be getting our standard deviation. So when you go to the formula I'm about to show you now, you can see that they have replicated the variance in the formula over there. So let's go there. So here, so the expected return of investment 1 minus the expected return of the possible return of investment 1 minus the expected return of investment 1 multiplied by the possible return of investment Y minus the expected return of the portfolio is what we are bringing over here to establish our covariance. This formula looks a little bit confusing, but don't worry, I'll break it down for you to understand. Are you getting me? Now, to find correlation, correlation is equal to what? The covariance over the standard deviation. Look at it. Here, we said covariance is equal to standard deviation multiplied by correlation. So you can just do change of subjects with this formula, you get correlation. And so therefore, when you have been given a question and you have the correlation and you have covariance, Masa, you should be able to find the standard deviation. I get you the scenario. When you have correlation, you have covariance, there is no need going hassling yourself for standard deviation. Just use these two variables and then you get what? Your standard deviation. So correlation is equal to what? The covariance over what? The standard deviation. You get correlation. Now, this formula that is here, that is quite complicatory. That is what I've just explained or explain over here. That covariance between investment 1 and investment 2 is given as the probability between the 1 and 2 multiplied by, I wanted to do this. Good. So the covariance between investment 1 and 2 is given as the probability between this 1 and 2 multiplied by the required return of investment 1 minus the expected return of investment 1, bracket close, multiplied by required return of investment 2 minus expected return of investment 2. So that is how we find the covariance. Now, I'm sure you have remembered how we got this particular answer. This particular answer, you came across it before when we were looking at the very first illustration. I don't know where it is, this particular side. Let's see if I can see it for you. So that when you have your notes, you can just go back there and then you understand what I mean. Yes, this one. This particular illustration, when we're doing it, we solve for the covariance. When we take the standard deviation of the investment A, the standard deviation of investment B, and we're given the correlation coefficient among the two investments as negative 0.9374. So this is what I was trying to refer you in the note over here. So this particular one is what I was referring to you there. Now, take note that when you have been given the correlation, this is how you find the covariance. Where you have been given the correlation, this is how you find your covariance. Okay, so this is how you find the covariance when you have been given the correlation coefficient. Now, what I'm about to teach you now is how to solve for this same covariance when you have not been given the correlation. So how do you solve this same covariance from a raw data? From a raw data. So this particular illustration that we used from the very beginning is what I'm referring to over here now, this particular illustration. So let me see where I went right now, this particular one. This particular illustration that we started solving, the very first one on page 12. So when you go there, you will see that question. And that is the question we used in solving this particular illustration that I'm also referring to here right now for you. Okay. So when you go to your handout, you see that this particular one. This particular one at the very beginning of the handout, it is there. So when you have been given a raw data like this, with this same data, you can use to find the individual expected return. You can use to find the individual standard deviation. You can use to find the covariance among the two investments. With this same data, if I just add, assuming I have invested in them 60/40, I just added that one. You can still use this same data to build portfolio. You find your portfolio expected return, portfolio standard deviation, and then the covariance among the two stocks. So whenever you see the question, you open your eyes very well and see what the question is demanding you to do before you make a move. What we are going to do now is how to determine this covariance, this 14.18. Assuming we have this data, how then do we determine this particular 14.18? How do we solve for it? Given this particular data over here is what I'm going to show you now. So from the onset, I'm showing you two different methods of getting the same answer. So when you have been given the question, see what you have been given and see how you are going to use the data to get that particular answer. Is that clear? Good. So we have the data here for these two investments. We have amusement park, we have the Sky Resorts, and we have the various sections, very cold, cold, average, and then you have hot. And we say that you have the probabilities over here. The individual return on the investment, amusement park is 15, 5, 10, and 30. Sky Resort is 35, 15, 5, and -5. When you look at it from the onset, you can see that these two investments are negatively related. Because when the weather is cold and you are making a loss of 15%, you are making profit of 35% in the Sky Resort. When the weather is cold and you are making loss of 5% on the amusement park, you are making profit of 15% on the Sky Resort. When the weather is on average, you are making 10% on the amusement park and and 5% on the Sky Resort. When the weather is hot, you are making 30% on the amusement park and then -5% on the Sky Resort. So you can see that as one is increasing, one is going down. So these two stocks on the face of it are negatively what? Related. So from the onset, you should know that the covariance, when you solve for the covariance, you are going to get negative because the movement between these two particular investments is negative. When one is climbing, one is descending. When the other is descending, the other one is climbing. That is what this particular table is telling us for now. As I told you, when you have any question, you raise up your hand. I'll call you. You talk, and then I'll explain for you. Okay, good. Now, let's solve for the covariance. How do we solve for the covariance? And this is quite complicated. It's quite complicated, and you must be able to take your time very well and arrange it. Because if you don't take your time very well to do it, you mess up. Are you getting the scenario? Now, to solve for the covariance, you need certain variables. You need certain variables. The very first variable you need is your expected return for the two investments. So the individual expected return, you need them, and then you need the required return. So you see that they gave us the expected return for amusement park to be 7%, and then that of the Sky Resort to be 9%. The standard deviation is another variable you need, and then the standard deviation here is what you also need. But for now, let's leave the standard deviation and take note with the expected return. So to find the covariance, how do we go by it? We pick it section by section. So when you pick very cold, you should be able to finish everything on very cold before you do that of cold, before you go to average, before you go to hot. So let's pick very cold with a probability of 0.1. So we said 0.1 multiplied by the first return is amusement park. Each expected return is 7%. So it's going to be the negative 15% minus the 7%. Multiply by, then go to the second investment, the 35% minus the 9%, this 9% over here. Take note and see how I am arranging the work before you go and make mistake. I am bringing all the individual expected returns at the last. So the individual expected return you were given in the question came at the last, and the individual required returns rather came first. So you should be able to understand what I'm trying to say, or what I'm trying to put across over here. So I want to highlight them so that at least it makes some sense for you small. So look at it. When we come to the first one, the 0.1, this particular one, please kindly make sure you have your question beside you so that you can be referring to what I'm saying, then you understand better. Okay, let me hit it so that it's on the next page. Then you can make some meaningful. Okay, so let's have it like this. Good. So the 0.1 here is what is here. Bracket open, this 15 minus the 7 multiplied by this 35 minus its 9. So when I'm done with the first one, before I'll say plus, I come to the next one. So the next section is where am I now? 0.3 multiplied by negative 0.5 minus the 7%. This same 7% is what I'm replicating over here. This investment, its individual expected return is 7%. This one, its expected return is 9%. Bracket open, 15 minus 9. So this 15 minus its 9. Bracket close. I am done with the second section. Plus 0.4. Bracket open. This 10% here is this one over here. Minus the 7% for this particular investment here. Bracket close. I multiply by this 0.5, this particular 0.5 here, minus the 9% for this Sky Resort investment, bracket close. So once I'm done for this particular section, I say plus 0.2. So you see, I'm taking it section by section. 0.2, bracket open, this 30%, the 0.3 minus the 0.07, this 7% for this investment, bracket open, minus 0.5, this particular negative 5% is what I'm replicating here, minus the 9% for this particular investment. So once you have arranged them like this, you take your time and arrange it very well, because it's a little bit confusing and you might mix it up. If by mistake you brought the 7 before this, you swap the positioning of these two alone, it changes the question. It changes your answer. So let your arrangement be intact. If you are going by required minus expected, go required minus expected. That is, if you want what is in the question, what is in the table to be subtract, what is in the table, you subtract the expected return from it, this one. You subtract this from the table one, then it should always be this from the table one. If you want the table one from this one, then you can now swap it. So if it is the table minus the result, it should be the table minus the result, the table minus the result, the table minus the result. If you want to do it, the results minus the table, it should be result minus table, result minus table. Ike, let's hear you. Your hand is on floor.
I want to know how you got the 9 and the 7%.
Okay, the 9 and the 7% here have been given to us in this question. Are you getting the scenario?
Oh, okay.
Have you seen it? Given that you have A to be 7%, SR to be what? 9%. Are you getting it? And because you have already indicated that you were not part of the initial lesson, that is why you don't know where this one, though we have been given, but we can still solve for them. I get it. So those of you who join the class later, I'll find time to for you guys, and then I'll take you through so that you capture with us. Okay. But in the meantime, as I'm saying, you can go to the YouTube page, Benport Consult YouTube page, and I have uploaded all the videos over there. So you can be going through at your leisure time, so that when I set the time, those of you who came very late will be able to understand. Okay.
Okay.
So when you finish solving the question, you should get the negative 0.0148. So you can see that this answer here that we had somewhere here, we use two different ways of solving it. I get you the scenario. We use two different ways of solving it. The first method is where we were given the standard deviation. I saw the standard deviation also being given you over here. This standard deviation here, this standard deviation. So I can solve it like this using the raw data, or when I have used the standard deviation format, then I'll say this way. So this is where I've been given the standard deviation. So this one, note, you only do this one when you have the standard deviation. So you only do this one when you have the standard deviation given in the question. So you can get the same answer like this or like that. Any question? If you have any question, you ask me and I will gladly answer you. So, any question? We will be switching over very soon to look at financial accounting. And the area we'll be looking at today in the financial accounting is a new area. So this area, whether you have joined before, you have not joined before, I am introducing it to everybody new today. So I expect everybody to focus and pay attention so that we all make a headway. So if you don't have any question, the financial accounting class will start exactly 12 o'clock. I'm making the note on that one. So I want to use the next 8 or 7 minutes to finish up the notes on the financial accounting so that we come back at 12 and then we continue with financial accounting. But in the meantime, as I told you, you visit the YouTube page and all the videos have been uploaded over there. I'll upload these particular videos for today's lesson on the YouTube page so that on your free timetable days or on the days you are a little bit free, you can be viewing it and be listening to it. Even if you're in the car, you can just be on the page, on the YouTube page. So the time you waste in listening to music, you can just go on the page and be listening to the lessons. At least when you are listening to it, it will be good. You'll be understanding it very well. So I've uploaded that is financial accounting, business finance, and taxation over there. I've uploaded ICT too over there. The ICT, I told you how I'll be doing it. So I'll continue that one and upload it to over there for you. But in the meantime, the taxation, counting, and the finance are the major priority for now. Okay. So we are coming back exactly 12 o'clock to start financial accounting for the day.